Morning, guys. Welcome to the current affairs discussion, where I'll be discussing all of the important topics that are necessary for UPSC, be it for prelims or be it for mains, anything, right? And without any further ado, let us start with this particular current affairs discussion. And today I'll be discussing 7th May, right? Firstly, we have TN Governor asks Vijay to give proof for majority. Right. Recently, the elections have happened, and the party known as TVK has gained a huge majority and nearly of 107 seats. That too, in the less than 1 year of putting the party, it's a great achievement, right? And now the governor is asking for majority. Obviously, that happens because at the end of the day, whenever there's a government forming, it is constitutionally proven that there needs to be majority, right? Now let us look at what are the articles that are saying what we need. Okay. Uh, Firstly, we have Article 164. Article 164.1. Right. Article 164.1 says that the governor appoints the CM. Right. As the governor is appointing the CM, obviously, who is going to test? Governor is going to test. Right. 164.1 says that governor appoints the chief minister. 164.2. 164 clause 2 says that the council of ministers is responsible to the legislative assembly, and that is the reason why there needs to be a majority, right, or a floor test, right? And there are some cases in which the Supreme Court also has said that there is need for floor test, and those cases majorly are one, SR Bommai case, right? SR Bommai case, and Rameshwar Prasad case. These are the two cases in which the Supreme Court has told that there needs to be a floor test. And whenever there is a lack of what you call majority, or whenever there is hung assembly, right, there needs to be a floor test. And whenever there is formation of a government, there needs to be a floor test. And the floor test is usually people voting, right? It's nothing but all of the MLAs that are present, or all of the MLAs that have been elected to the assembly should vote that they are proving majority. That is nothing but a floor test. Right? These are the two aspects that you need to keep in mind. One is that 164.1 saying that the governor appoints the CM, and secondly, it says that 164.2 says that the council of ministers is responsible. Then you have two cases, SR Bommai case and Rameshwaram Prasad case, which say that the floor test is very necessary. And when it comes to the Tamil Nadu government, the majority is usually 117. Right? The number of votes that Vijay needs for proving that he will become the CM is 170. Many people have said that it is 118. The 118 is the majority, and there is a reason why 118 is a majority and 117 is a majority when it comes to popular votes. Okay, 118 is a majority to form a government. Okay, 117 are the votes that are required. Okay, and who conducts the floor test? It's not the governor; it is the speaker. Right? At the end of the day, who is doing all of this? Who is asking the people whether they are voting or not? That is the speaker. And we all know that according to the rules of the constitution, speaker does not vote in the first instance. Speaker only votes in the case of tie. Okay, so that is why instead of 118 we have 117 votes. So 117 votes is the majority that Vijay actually needs for becoming a CM. Now to see what is happening, but there are some rumors saying that DMK and AIDMK will both come together and make an alliance, but I don't think that will happen because obviously there was a dispute, and that is why they moved out and formed different parties. Yeah. So that is the first article. Second article we have is the Nicobar Gram Sabha signed off infrastructure project with 50% quorum. Right. Basically, this particular article is talking about how the Nicobar Island project is there, and for that Nicobar Island project to happen, there needs to be a consent of the Gram Sabha, meaning all of the tribes that are present in that particular area need to give 50% of their assent, and that is according to the Forest Rights Act 2006. Right? Basically, everything is going under Forest Rights Act 2006, and we also know that in the Forest Rights Act 2008 amendment, it said that the quorum should be 50% and at least one third members of the women, right? 50% of the adult population and one third of the women should be present for all of the voting. Only when they are present, that is when an approval can happen. Gram Sabha is not. Gram Sabha is different than Panchayat. Gram Sabha is an adult body of voting, meaning that all the adult population that are present is nothing but Gram Sabha. Panchayat is different. Okay. So what this particular article is saying, the article is saying that in order for anything or any usage of a particular land, you need an approval of the Gram Sabha, and that approval needs to have a quorum of 50% of the adult population and one third of the women population. But what happened here? The main thing here happened is that the amount of people that came that day was very low, right? Nearly, what do you say? Nearly 11.889% of the population, very few population, nearly 4 to 5% of the population came for that particular meeting. Many of the people boycotted that meeting, but despite many people boycotting that meeting and very low population arriving at the scene, they still consider that quorum as valid, and they actually said that half of the people have given consent. That is actually wrong. Then what is the reason for the Gram Sabha or the quorum to be existent? Right? They gave this particular what you call clause for a reason. Why? They said that this is autonomy, this is their land. At the end of the day, we need their permission for something to happen. Obviously, if you are going to some place, if you are going to someone's house, if you are using something, you have to take that permission, right? And that is what is happening here, right? The Nicobar's land is there, the Nicobar's land usage of forest is there, and whenever the forest is being used, you need a quorum of 50% of the adult population, one third population of the women. And but as the people were not coming or not willing to be present at the quorum, many people have ensured that that particular less population is considered valid, and they said that half of the people have given their consent. This is not right at all, right? This is the problem with some of the aspects or infrastructure projects that have been happening, right? So that is all about this particular editorial, right? All you need to remember is that fundamental rights, I mean, Forest Rights Act 2006 and Forest Rights Act 2008 amendment, which says that 50% of the population and 50% of the adult population and one third of the women population is the what do you call quorum that is required for consent. Okay, and there's this particular case in Supreme Court that is known as the Orissa mining case. Orissa mining case or the Niamgiri case. Right? There were these hills called Niamgiri Hills where all of the mining was happening, and Supreme Court came and told that the consent of the Gram Sabha is very essential, and without the consent of Gram Sabha, nothing will happen. But and that consent should always be 50% and one third. But the officials or the in people who are actually in charge of all of this have ensured that only a few population can also be considered as a quorum, right? So sometimes these kind of things might hurt the environment and also the population that is present in there, because it is state's duty to protect all of this population according to some articles like Article 46. Then you have Article 21. All of these articles, what do they say? They say that people have their right to life, their right to dignity, and state should protect all the weaker sections, right? When all of these constitutionally obligated duties are present, right? Constitutionally obligated duties are present, state should stand up to all of these. But then at the end of the day, all of the project that is happening is from the state. So that is an issue. Okay, moving on. We have an article, right? Understanding inequality in India's growth story. Right? Basically, this particular editorial is talking about India's inequality, right? Economic inequality in India. Right? We have many aspects. Firstly, it's saying that we have labor codes, right? All of the labor codes are there. What are the labor codes? Labor codes are wage code and industrial relations code. Industrial relations code. Then you have social security code. lastly, you have occupational safety code. Right, these are all the codes that are present in the wages code, right, or the labor codes that have been announced in 2020. Now, this particular editorial is saying that while there is high amount of population that is present, and most of the population is under the informal sector, and as they are in the informal sector, what is happening? All of these codes, despite them being present, they are not giving accurate protection, right? Accurate protection to the informal workers, and also they are taking away their right to bargain, right? They do not have any right to bargain under these particular articles, because if you are forming a union, and you need to form a union whenever there is permission only, without any permission you cannot form unions. And for example, let's say gig workers are there, gig workers cannot form unions. There are many aspects that are there which are actually troublesome when it comes to these codes. And whenever these kind of codes come into action, the what you call power or actual power given to the informal workers is taken away. So that way inequality is increased. That is what this particular editorial is saying, right? Whenever the what you call right to bargain or right to do things are taken away, the inequality will obviously increase, because the more power will be in the people that are employing, actually not in the informal workers. That is the first thing that this particular editorial is saying. Then it is also saying that we have Viksit Bharat guarantee of for Rozgar and Ajivik, which is replacing the Manrega, right, which has raised serious concerns regarding the welfare of informal workers and those belonging to the rural areas, because there are some changes that are there, right? There are some changes that have been made into these particular articles, and what you call particular policy, right? Due to these policies, there is less importance given to the particular informal workers, right? Other than that, you have all other things where it says that constitutional obligation is there for states to protect all of the rights of the workers and everything. Now let us look at all of the constitutional acts, or what you call articles, that are present for protection of students, I mean informal workers. Firstly, we have Article 41, right? Article 41 says that we people have the right to work, and state has the obligation, right? Or what is Article 41? Article 41 is nothing but directive principles of state policy, and directive principles of state policy are nothing but obligations on the state, right? And Article 41 says that there is a right or an obligation on the state for to provide right to work, right to work, and public assistance is what a duty that is provided on the state, right? Other than this, we have many other articles that are there. We have right to equality, right? As this particular editorial is talking about inequality, we have all the rights of equality, meaning that Article 14 to Article 18, which are talking about right to equality. Article 14 says that there is right to Article 14 that says that we have right to equality, and what you call equal protection of law. These are the two aspects that are present in Article 14. Whenever there is no equal protection of the people that are actually disadvantaged, then it is actually violating Article 14. Then you have Article 15. Article 15 says that there is no discrimination based on race, religion, caste, sex, and place of birth. And these are all the aspects that are present in Article 15, which says that you cannot discriminate any person based on race, religion, caste, sex, or place of birth. And whenever these kind of what you call laws or policies or acts have been brought in, all of these actually there is a high overlap between all of the what you call inequalities that are happening in India, right? There is high overlap between caste, class. Many people, if you see, they whenever they hire based on caste. Whenever they hire, they look at the class of the people. Right? There is high amount of discrimination that is happening, but at the ground, that is the ground reality. Right? No matter how many articles or no matter how many acts are there, the ground reality is that there is discrimination, and this discrimination is very invisible, because people are not outrightly discriminating people. They're forming groups. Based on these groups, they are actually trying to discriminate people, right? So at the end of the day, there is no outright discrimination. That is why people cannot actually talk anything about it. Then you have other articles as well. You have Article 16, which says that equality in public employment. right? Right. Article 16. Article 16 says that you need equality in public employment. Right? There's no discrimination when it comes to public employment, as what Article 16 is talking about. Then you have Article 21. Right? Article 21 is there. Art 21. Art 21 is nothing but talking. What is it talking about? Article 21 is talking about right to life and dignity. Right to life and dignity. When it comes to right to life and dignity, obviously, any person would want to, what do you call, have a dignified life, meaning that proper livelihood or shelter or food or income. All of these aspects are there under Article 21. Right. So what does Article 21 say? Article 21 says that there is right to life. Not only these, we also have other DPSPs. Right. Other than Article 41, we also have other DPSPs like Article 38. Article 38 says that states needs to be about a welfare state. Article 38 is talking about welfare state. What is a welfare state? A welfare state is something that is looking over of people who are actually downtrodden or actually weaker sections, meaning that it is putting an obligation on the state for reducing inequalities. Right? It's putting an obligation on the state to reduce inequalities. Then you have Article 39, Article 39B. Right? You have Article 39B and 39C. Article 39B says that resource should be distributed among distributed for common good. Then you have Article 39C. Article 39C says that there shouldn't be any concentration of wealth. Right? There shouldn't be any concentration of wealth. But if you actually see all of the reports or what do you call indexes that are actually given, or the inequality indexes that are given, if you see all of these, they say that the top 10% or top 1% hold majority of the income. What does that show? That shows that there is high amount of inequality. And this is what this particular editorial is talking about. Despite what the government is saying, what the government is doing, there is looming inequality everywhere. Whenever there is looming inequality, there is high amount of what do you call developmental delays. Because as the development increases, right, in the start there is inequality, but as the development increases more, the inequality should decrease. But what does it show? It's showing that there is high amount of inequality still there, meaning that are we still in the growing phase, right? This does not put anything that there is this curve called Kuznets curve, right? Kuznets curve in the concept of economy, which says that as the development increases, right, as the development increases, in the start the inequality will increase, but after some time the inequality will decrease. Why will the inequality decrease? The inequality will decrease because people are getting education, people are getting policies, people are getting benefits. But if you see here, people are not getting the benefits, the policies are not working, nothing is happening. And despite all of this happening, the inequality is still looming around, right? So that is why maybe we are still in this growing phase, right? Growing phase here, inequality, and this is development, right? As the development increases, inequality increases in the first and then decreases in the next. So we have to wait and see whether the inequality will decrease or not. That is what we can do, right? That is the only thing that we can do. Other than that, we cannot do anything else. Right? Then you have I'll also teach you about this concept called what do you call Lorentz curve, right? Lorentz curve and also the Gini coefficient. Okay, because you need to understand these kind of concepts, because whenever you're talking about inequality or economy, right, in the GS3 mains, you can actually use these kind of concepts or these kind of graphs, because this will help ensure that the evaluator understands what is happening. So let us understand what Lorentz curve is. Lorentz curve says that as the population, as the income share increases, the population share will also decrease, right? Here you can see that, let's say the income share is 10,000. Here the 10,000 income share is there. It is 1 crore here, right? Let's say 1 crore monthly and 10,000 monthly. The amount of people that are in the 10,000 share is high. And as the income grows, meaning that as the income reaches to 1 crore, the amount of population that is actually in 1 crore is very less, whereas the population in 10,000 is very high. This is nothing but Lorentz curve. And from this Lorentz curve came the Gini coefficient. Gini coefficient is a straight line that is actually going through the curve. Right? It says that as the distance from the curve increases, the inequality increases. Meaning that if the distance from the curve is high, then there is high inequality. And if the distance from the curve is very low, then there is low inequality. So 0 is perfectly equal and 1 is nothing but perfectly unequal. According to all of the reports that are there, India's equality index or Gini coefficient is 0.29. While all of this is happening, we don't think that all the what the editorial is saying, everything that is there is not pointing towards a perfect inequality. I mean, perfect equality. It still shows that there is high amount of inequality present, and just some reports and indexes that are being shown to us doesn't mean that there is no inequality. So that is what this particular editorial is talking about. Yes, there's Gini coefficient. Next, moving on. Fixing structural deficits in India's health system. Right, it's talking about health system. In the previous current affairs classes, we've still discussed about how the healthcare system is becoming expensive. Right, we talked about healthcare inflation. The reason healthcare inflation is happening is because of various reasons like lifestyle diseases or the advanced tools that are there and technologies that are being present and lack of insurance. All of these aspects are the reason why there is healthcare inflation. Now here this particular editorial is talking about fixing structural deficits in India's health system. Okay, he's saying that there are many doctors, right? There are high amount of doctors that are present. You can see that it has nearly 43 new medical colleges have been established and 11,682 MBA seats and 8,967 postgraduate seats have been approved. So what does this say? This says that India has high number of seats for doctors, but it is saying that there are high number of doctors. Okay, high number of doctors are there, but where are they? He's saying that the what do you call CHCs or the community health centers, which has to serve near 1.6 to 2 lakh, 1.6 to 2 lakh people. Right, community health centers have to serve nearly 1.6 to 2 lakh people, but there are 80% vacancies. 80% vacancies in the community health centers. We have so many doctors coming out, but where are they working? They're not working anywhere. Everyone is trying to work in the private hospitals, gain what do you call money, have a lifestyle, have the prestige and all. But at the end of the day, the particular education that is required for a doctor is to serve people, and that people serving them is mainly through government hospitals. Because who are the people who are going to government hospitals? All the people who cannot afford and who require quality of what you call service, quality service. That is what they need. And who should provide it? The doctors that are actually passing out. Right, all the people that are passing out are going to the private hospitals. Then all of these private hospitals are charging high, and they're treating treatment or health as business. As they are treating health as a business, all of the doctors are being very commercial. They're not going to the government hospitals, and all the people who go to the government hospitals do not have any say or do not have any quality service. That is why, even though they cannot afford it, they are going to the private hospitals. We talked about it. We called it distress financing. And they cannot afford it. Despite that, they think that private hospitals offer more. That is why they are going to the private hospitals where they are charging high amount of bills. That is what is happening. That is the reason why there is high amount of deficit in India. What we need is not structural buildings. What we don't need is structural buildings or infrastructure, right? We need proper equipment for government hospitals. Government hospitals is what we need. Then you need all these stuff that where there is physicians, surgeons, obstetricians, pediatricians. All of these are very important for what you call the surgeries that are happening or the diseases that are coming into play where they need extreme care, right? There is constitutional obligation also. As I talking about constitutional obligation in everything, we have constitutional obligation on the state as well. We have Article 41, we have Article 47. What does Article 47 say? Article 47 says that the nutrition should be protected, right? The state should ensure that the nutrition should be protected and the nutrition level should be increased. And it also says that state must improve the public health, right, and improve the standards of living. That is what Article 47 is talking about. Then you have public health in the state list. Then you have Article 39E and Article 39F. Both of these talk about how the health of workers, the women or the men, should not be abused, right? We have all of these. We have all the constitutional obligations. We have all the articles, and we have everything. But why isn't everything coming into play? Obviously, there's an ethical decision. There are doctors who actually have studied to have a good life. Many people show this grandeur life, saying that if you become a doctor, you'll have a high life and you'll be able to serve people and you'll be able to earn a lot of money. Obviously, you can, but at the end of the day, it is the people who cannot afford that are suffering, right? That is a very highly ethical decision and a highly ethical debate that we actually need to put, because on one side we cannot compel any person to willingly or forcefully work for in a government hospital at a very low pay. On the other hand, we cannot force a person or a person who is actually poor to pay for a very high price in a private hospital, because both are rights and both are needs, right? So that is what this particular article is talking about, saying that everything needs to be in proper manner. Fixing structural deficits in India's health system is very important, as health is very important, right? The amount of GDP or percent of GDP that the government is investing is nearly 2% only, and the amount of budget that is putting it for health is very less. So if you see that the amount of efforts put for health and health education, or what do you call health of the public, is very less, right? So there needs to be some changes that should be brought in, right? And that's it for this today's newspaper analysis. Thank you guys. Hope you guys have learned a lot in today's newspaper. Try to analyze everything, right? Whenever whatever you see or whatever you read in the newspaper, or on whenever you read something on the news, or you know something that comes on your Instagram feed or YouTube, try to analyze things, because the more you analyze, the more you understand, the more you gain, the more you want to change the world, right? That is what is important. Not only changing yourself, changing other people is also very important. Try to analyze things, try to self reflect, right? Thank you guys. See you.